Hello everyone, this is the new episode of the Global Judicial Integrity Network podcast series. We're here today with 4 members of the advisory board of the network. Judge Kashim Zannah, can you introduce yourself, please?
Well, I'm Kashim Zannah, the Chief Judge of the High Court of Borno State of Nigeria.
I am Maria Thereza Moura. I am Vice President of Superior Court of Justice in Brazil.
My name is Lynne Leitch. I'm a judge of the Superior Court of Justice of Ontario in Canada.
I'm Nihal Jayawickrama. I'm the coordinator of the Judicial Integrity Group.
To start our discussions, I'll maybe ask first Judge Kashim Zannah. As judges, and this question will also be asked to other participants, but as judges yourselves, how do you ensure that you remain independent of political or other outside influences?
I will say, in your lifestyle, demeanor and comportment, send out the signal that sets the border, that interference with your official work as a judge is a no-go area. Political influencers and politicians I have known have very good antenna and sensors. Once they pick it up, they'll leave you alone.
Justice Maria Thereza Moura, what are your takes on the topic?
Political influence on the judiciary can be a matter of violation of separation of powers as well as inadequate conduct of the individual judge. The first one is institutional and should be dealt institutionally and sometimes involves also cultural changes. The second one is a behavioral matter. It's an important question because in the rule of law, independence is a duty of judges as well as right of the citizen, of the society. And in my opinion, it's the rule of law that gives us the answer, because probably the best way to prevent ourselves from being influenced by political or other branches of the government is to apply and to recur to the Constitution and the law in order to guarantee a fair, independent, and impartial process.
Thank you. Justice Lynne, your takes?
We must be free and appear to be free of any type of governmental or private pressure that could appear to influence our decision-making, because in order to ensure we have public confidence at all times, we must appear to be able to render our decisions without any influence or any impact on our impartiality.
Thank you. We're going to move now to Nihal. Nihal, since the adoption of the Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct, what can judiciaries do or continue to do to help maintain their independence from other government branches?
I think the first thing the judiciary should do is to commit themselves to the values, the judicial values that have been identified and set out in the Bangalore Principles. Thereafter, I think a judiciary should publicize the Bangalore Principles within the community so that legislators, the media, academics understand what the judicial values are and what the principles are. On the part of the judiciary, perhaps it should also establish some mechanism where the public could complain about infringements or non-observance of the principles, and the matter can be inquired into. So in regard to non-observance of principle of independence or impartiality or propriety, these are, I think, essential steps that a judiciary should take in order to ensure that the principles are applied.
Thank you. Justice Lynne, there are several organizations which conduct public surveys on judicial independence indicators. UNODC as well has published a guide to help judiciaries evaluate their compliance with the requirements of Article 11 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. So what do you think is the most effective way to assess judicial independence?
In my view, the three hallmarks or markers of judicial independence are security of tenure, financial security, and administrative independence. Speaking as a Canadian, our Supreme Court of Canada has provided guidance as to what constitutes administrative independence, and so I would measure the country against those parameters, which would include the freedom of judges to assign judges to cases, to allocate caseload, to assign courtrooms, to ensure that there is adequate staff to hear those cases for the duration without any influence from government or other private party, and to have some autonomy in order to direct the staff within the courtroom.
Thank you. And Justice Maria Thereza, public perception of the judiciary's independence is essential. How can courts promote transparency and public education about the judiciary?
Public perception of independence is very important. So research are one way of measuring it. But we need to be aware that sometimes judiciary has a counter-majority function that might impact the public perception of independence. Maybe the key is to research the trust in the judiciary rather than the public perception of independence.
Nihal, what would be your takes on the same question?
I think the court should, first of all, try to demystify the judicial system and the procedures that are followed. And there are a number of other steps that could be taken. The judiciary should respond to the court users' concerns. The judiciary could interact with students and also maybe interact. I think now it's regarded as almost essential that the judiciary should interact with the community through town hall meetings, through television interviews, things of that nature.
Judge Kashim Zannah, what are the consequences of a lack of judicial independence, particularly for human rights, in your opinion?
Particularly for human rights, lack of judicial independence is fatal for its protection. Human rights violations, unfortunately, are usually coming from the state, powerful state actors, etc. And where the court is not independent, where judges are not independent of these actors, then there is no question of protection of human rights. What will prevail will be impunity. So, for human rights, it's essential that judges and justices and courts be independent.
Now we're going to pose a question to all of our participants. From your various backgrounds and experiences, how can international collaboration help to promote judicial independence and collaboration, including the Global Judicial Integrity Network? We'll start with Judge Kashim Zannah.
Global collaboration helps foster judicial independence because it sets standards and it enables local judiciaries take these standards and promote them and live by them, and actually have other arms of government respect the fact that this independence inures not for the benefit of the judges, not a power grab, but a sine qua non for justice to prevail in the society. And living up to international best practices is something that inspires that feeling of, okay, we are also equal to it, we are up to it, and that is where international collaboration becomes very useful.
Justice Maria Thereza.
International collaboration is essential for the strength of judicial independence, because only by knowing the international standards one can make a self-criticism and evaluation about the appropriate degree of the judicial independence. I think this is one of the key points of the Judicial Integrity Network.
Justice Lynne.
Globally, judges have a responsibility to the public that we serve to ensure that judicial independence is protected for the benefit of the public we serve. In international work, you realize that the world over, the same tension and pressure exists to ensure that independence is maintained. The degree of pressure and tension varies throughout the globe, but it exists everywhere. And if we work together and share our strategies and our collective efforts to maintain our independence, we all benefit from learning from each other and sharing our views and perspectives.
Thank you. Nihal, your takes?
Yes, I'm now speaking not from the perspective of a judge, but from a lawyer and a civil society activist. I found that when the international community turns the searchlight on the national judiciary, begins monitoring its performance, it helps considerably because judges tend to be sensitive to international concern and criticism. It would also help if the international community enables judges to interact with judges from other jurisdictions. And also organizations like UNODC could help with the training of judges, and that would help.
Thank you very much to all of you for your valuable insights, and also thank you very much for your steady guidance in the advisory board of the Global Judicial Integrity Network. For everyone listening, this has been one of the episodes of the Global Judicial Integrity Network podcast series. Stay tuned for more episodes on other interesting topics under judicial integrity. Thank you.